everyone. Welcome to this talk. I'm Merlin Carter, Senior Content Writer for Project A. And with me, I have Xiaoyin, the founder and CEO of this very platform that we're using right now for this virtual conference. And we also have Bach, Senior Marketing Manager here at Project A. So while they're talking, feel free to answer questions. It's ask questions in the chat, so it's a long one. And without further ado, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Merlin. So yeah, we're going to have a fireside chat. So I'm really happy to welcome Xiaoyin to this fireside chat. And we're going to run through a lot of questions from my side and hope to engage also a lot of you. So feel free to ask already questions in the chat during our talk and to interact with us. We will also ask you to request a mic and just to join us actually on stage. So don't be shy. And Xiaoyin, I'm very happy to welcome you. And maybe you can tell a bit more about you and your journey so far, and what is your background. And
that sounds great. Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for using Around the World. It's an honor to host this amazing event with our platform this year. So I'm Xiaoyin. I'm the founder and CEO of Around the World. I started the company actually a little over a year ago. It was before COVID, and at that time, my mom was a doctor from China. She has never been to an international conference until actually earlier last year, where she went to Chicago and she met another doctor from Dubai. They shared the same rare patient case. So it was super helpful for her to meet other like-minded doctors. But coming from China is really hard to travel because of visa. It's really expensive to fly around. So my mom was saying, I wish I could go to more conferences like this, but it's not possible. So that's why we came up with the idea, thinking, hey, what if we can digitize, especially the people meeting other people component in the event? Maybe we can help my mom meet more doctors. So that's the idea. And then when we first get started, it was people thought the virtual events was a stupid idea. It's not going to work. It's not going to help you make connections. But then the funny thing is that we launched the week before COVID, and we immediately got a lot of interest, actually. And then COVID hit, and a lot of conferences got canceled. We have people who are trying to pivot online. We also have people who has never hosted anything online before, trying to do something for the first time, or they have never hosted any events before, trying to try events as a new format. So we recently raised our Series A from Andreessen Horowitz and Founders Fund. So the type of events that we're focusing on are more focusing on the interactive people meeting other people component.
Yes, and maybe you can also elaborate a bit more on actually your personal background. So you back in the days, when you came to Silicon Valley, you first joined one of the big companies. We call it in the German literature the GAFA, so the big platforms. How did you come to actually Facebook, Instagram, and so on?
Yeah, so I used to work at Facebook and Instagram, mostly on the video and entertainment side. Then I went to Stanford for business school. I actually dropped out for a year, after a year at Stanford, to start Around the World. So I guess I only have a bachelor's degree right now. And now I guess we grew our team from 5 to 45 this year, and now we have people from more than more than 3 continents: Europe, Asia, and US, and we're now serving tens of thousands of events in more than 120 countries. So that was a very interesting training for me so far.
Yeah, that is super exciting. I just collected one of the two of the headlines that are currently out there around the world, and you already touched on the investment by Andreessen Horowitz and also the Founders Fund. We'll come to that in a second. But also what I found quite recently, that also Will Smith and Kevin Hart are actually connected to your startup. Maybe you can tell us a bit more how this connection came together.
Yeah, they were actually investors. They're not rookies. They have been investing for quite a bit, and we got connected through our existing investors, and they really love the idea. So So it's kind of like a very interesting experience to have those celebrities, especially Will Smith and Kevin Hart, who are actually really savvy in content and engaging people to be the investors.
So they're also heavily using the platform already for their own, creating their own content, creating their own network.
Well, they have some kind of a portfolio stuff going on, and we also have a few different. Actually, there's a bunch of different investors in the entertainment space as well. So we have a bunch of different kind of it turns out a lot of the influencers, like best-selling authors or thought leaders, they wanted to be able to engage with their community too, and they're looking for new ways to engage with their audience.
Yeah, super
and
exciting.
they're using some events, yeah.
And I think you already touched on that was actually planned as my next question in fireside chat. But no worries. We already also recorded already a podcast together with Florian, and you also touched on that. Actually, your mother was the reason why you in the end came up with the idea of Run the World, and I think that became much more relevant than now with COVID hitting. So we can maybe come already to kind of my next question, and because at that time, when you actually had the first product live, and you were on the market, COVID hit, and you raised also in that time your next round. And how did you convince at that point? Maybe it was a bit easier with COVID now, but how did you convince Founders Fund by Peter Thiel and Anderson Horowitz actually to invest into Run the World?
Yeah, it was a little bit easier, I guess, because we were getting a lot of tractions. So I guess the most important part about those investors that they are really seeing our style of online events as a new way to provide a richer interaction among people. So traditionally, you have social media that are more content-based or asynchronized, and now you have events that are synchronized, shared experiences for people to interact with each other better. So I think most of my investors are not coming from an angle where let's just focusing on those the pivots from canceled events to online events. Let's try to replicate the online experience is exactly like the offline experience. Instead, they're really regarding this as a new opportunity to reimagine how people can interact with other people online, which this particular type of format of everybody coming in at the same time and being able to interact with each other did not exist before. So they're really excited about our interaction model and how we can help people get closer to each other in a deeper way than the existing online formats.
Yeah, cool. And we already get some questions also from the audience, and I think also my next kind of slide is one that gives us a bit more context. So I just put the G2 grid on virtual event platforms on it. It's quite interesting. When I looked at this 3-4 months ago, it was still really empty. And also, platforms like Gartner and G2, if you are not a paying customer, it's also sometimes a bit harder to get on these grids. But it gives us a bit of a perspective on that. It's a really crowded field at the moment, and I think you with Run the World and, for example, Hopin are the two that are most known from the VC backed up startups. So I think it's also a question of Thomas Krause. So what is actually your unique selling point, and how is your tool positioned in comparison to the other tools in general, and maybe also to Hopin?
That's an interesting question. Well, I think it's too early for this market to form some kind of graph. To be frank, I think even our customers, sometimes they're changing what they need, what they really think they need all the time. I'm still seeing very different consumer requests. 8 months ago was, where is the virtual lobby? Where is the virtual reception desk? Where is the virtual where is the virtual badge? And then 5 months ago it was, where is the virtual expo hall. I think now is like, where is the new way to make people not leave my halfway into the events because they got bored? What is the new way to make people socialize with other people? So I think first, I think the exact format of what is a good virtual event still remains to be finalized in this industry particular. We're not really focusing on replicating existing format from offline to online. We're trying to think, why are we going to events? Because we want to meet people and we want to form meaningful connection that can help us as short-term or long-term for our personal goal, knowledge learning, or business goals. So we're just like, my belief is, number one, if we can help people meet each other better, we're going to do well. Number two, if we can make people engaged, meaning they don't leave halfway, then that is better format. And so far, what we have found is that the event planners of online events are not necessarily the event planners from physical events. It's really everybody. Even my friend's mom is now running events in Zoom. So we really think that we're adopting a more consumer approach. We wanted to make sure our product is really easy to use. So somebody with no event background, but really, really having a community want to bring people together can easily do an event that is going to be very engaging. And the second thing that we're really focusing on is new ways to help people meaningfully connect with each other. So cocktail party, for example, is one of our most popular and most retentive thing that once people try it, we know that, there's 30 to 40% of them is going to do another one within like 14 days because they're able to, help people meet 10 to 12 people within 1 hour. And that's actually more effective than an offline event. So I would say we're more focusing on helping anybody be event planners and through amazing events. We're more focusing on helping people make more connections and actually talk to people than watching a passive webinar. And we're also helping to turn a really large event into recurring events that can really build a longer term community so you can engage your attendees throughout the year instead of once in a year. So those are some of the stuff that we're really focusing on. And I think it's way too early to say what is the right format. And the metric is also not being decided in the industry yet. Some people look at how many people sign up as the metric of online events, which I don't believe that is the right metric. Because if you look at a really large event with, sometimes they have a 3-day, 10-hour long event each day, they may have 8,000 people attending, registering. But if we actually look at how many people showed up per session, it's probably like 50 of the 8,000. So
you look at engagement actually, right? That's kind of the KPI Run the Road is optimizing for.
That's right.
Yeah, that's super cool. And Thomas can't join us, it seems like, unfortunately, on the stage because of technical issues on his side. But I think he also asked, where do you see actually tools like yours and also Hopin in 2 to 3 years? I think I would share his opinion that all the tools that are out there, because they are so new, they for sure can't have all the features people and event organizers can think of. But how do you think it will evolve in the next 2 or 3 years? So people, like you said, they will do more tests, what engages people, or do you have a clearer hypothesis already what will work going forward in the next 2 or 3 years?
Well, there's a few things, right? First is that I think that thinking about events as a feature is not necessarily the right way. The difference is that I don't believe that. This is my radical belief. I don't believe that for any business events, if you're really even, let's say you're a B2B event planning or a virtual events platform, you're ultimately a consumer platform because all of your attendees are consumers, and they're the people who are gonna look at TikTok the next moment. And they're going to be pivoting to Instagram if your events is boring. So I don't believe there is a B2B virtual events platform that are designing for B2B that's looking the same way as a Salesforce or HubSpot and call it themselves a B2B virtual events platform. I believe that all of the consumer experiences of events needs to be so engaging, just like TikTok. So therefore, I think that the fundamental thing about virtual events platform is to make people engaged and don't leave. And that is the most important thing to make sure the sponsors where vendors, where exhibitors are getting value is when people are highly engaged. And if you look at what is the alternative to people's attention, for online event and an offline event is very different. In offline events, you are already locked in the venue. So maybe you are playing with your phone if you get bored, but you're still there. You can still, walk around and see different things. In online events, you just leave and there's no strings attached and you close the tab and you move away. I believe regardless if you're B2B or B2C from a virtual events platform standpoint, the consumer experience just needs to be at the bar of Netflix or TikTok or Instagram, which is a really high consumer bar. That I believe that today, like most of the tools are thinking it in a very, I believe, very wrong way, because it's more like I'm B2B, therefore it should look like any business tool, which I think that's wrong.
Yeah, I think also it seems that Thomas didn't leave us, so he rested the mic, so he's engaging with us. So let's get him on the stage. It seems he figured out things on his side. So he should appear in a few seconds on stage and can maybe ask a few more questions. Hi, Thomas. Unfortunately, I already asked all your 2 questions, but maybe you have some more in the pipeline. So this is your moment to shine.
I can add to this question. And first of all, thanks for having the opportunity for this event today. And what I can tell, we are in a similar space as around the world. So Project A decided to have WonderMe as a networking platform today. As far as I learned, you also have kind of a cocktail party mode in around the world. And it's interesting to see. I'm personally coming more from a facilitator, collaborative workshops world, and I'm also part of pre-designing a conference currently. And currently, people try to use all the tools. So conferencing tools are used for workshops. Workshop tools are used, and that's what I see at WonderMe, for instance, are used for conferences. And it's interesting. And me, I'm the founder of Ting Online. We're in an earlier stage, not yet live, but we're also trying to see what we can do with video and not do video. I mean, video for us, it's a means to an end and not the end in itself. And I really liked your perspective of we don't know how this all will evolve. And I would like to add to this question, maybe to Martin. So what was the reason to choose WonderMe today and not the built-in thing around the world? Is it just experimentation? Is it?
Yeah, I think the networking feature of around the world with Cocktail Party is you can actually meet with a kind of random or like a matched person in like 5 minutes. You can exchange, and I think that's super good. I think on the other hand, what Wonder allows us is kind of to meet with up to 15 people in a group quite randomly, and it can evolve very fast. If you have like a deep dive topic, you can break out. I think it solves a bit of other needs than around the world. And I also think that now, if you're a company that is like 6-9 months old, you have really to decide what are the features now we need. And I think we come to that and also later to ask Xiaoyin how she actually decides what is on the product roadmap or not. And so in that case, we wanted to have this experience that I also can talk kind of next to the stage, to the speaker of that I listen to, just how I can do it on an offline conference, and I just try to catch the speaker while he or she is leaving the stage, and that's why we've chosen here Wonder. I think I also don't think it's always the best solution to integrate the tools, because you always have people that don't convert, kind of, right? So I post now here the Wonder link into this conversation, and then afterwards, not everybody will go there. Yeah.
Well, there's an after party for Cocktail Party. After all the sessions, you should definitely come. I think the fundamental difference is that Cocktail Party is a synchronized experience where we expect everybody to be in the space at the same time and with the same mindset, which is I'm here to socialize. I'm here to talk to you. You're here to being talked to, which we believe are the key for success for Cocktail Party. And I think maybe other tools are more of a space approach. They say, here is the networking floor that whenever you come, if people are here, you can just come find them. Where the Cocktail Party is designed for, there's a start day and there's end day, and you're here to have a great time. during those hours,
Yeah.
and after those hours, you're moving on to do your own things. I think there's two different kind of design approaches that be really happy to try both and see which one you prefer, or maybe both serve different needs. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So,
And I like the fact that we're now using technology to, how to say, not mimic the experience we had in real life, but to perfect it for the real purpose. I mean, I can do workshops with 50 people in a big hotel with a lobby, but it's not the kind of style I like. So that might fit for a 500 people conference. And if I do a workshop, an innovation workshop with 50 people, I do it in a different room normally. And it makes sense to do similar things here to find the resonance with the target audience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Thomas. Also, like to join us. I think we can also ask maybe Frederick to join us on this stage as well here. I think he requested the mic.
I mean, personally though, like, whenever I go to an offline event, the most nerve-wracking thing, this is probably my personal thing, was walking around and trying to figure out who wants to talk to me. That is the most awkward thing or nerve-wracking thing. And you look at people, you're trying to see, do they gaze you back? Do they hint they want to talk to you? And I think that is the part that I feel like are sometimes preventing people from engaging conversation. The other part is where you're trying to get out of a conversation that's so awkward, but you can't because that feels a little rude. So you're holding your drink and keep drinking. Hopefully you're almost done. You say, oh, sorry, you need to get another drink. And that is the excuse for you to get out. I really think those are the two things that do not work offline. And so online, we're trying to avoid the same situation of trying to pick, and getting judged. And we also want to make sure there's an elegant way that you can leave the table without feeling like you are a douchebag of rejecting other people. So those are kind of the two things that we hope the cocktail party can help resolve in a better way than offline.
Yeah.
Cool. So we welcome Paul to the round. So thanks, Thomas, for coming up. Yes, they're actually using the tool like it is supposed to. I love it. So Paul, you already asked your question, I think, in the chat, but maybe you can ask just here again, and afterwards we can add Frederick to the stage. And he has also a question and requested the mic again.
I didn't want to jump the queue here, really.
No, go for it.
Okay. Cool. So background, I'm in the opposite business. I'm helping companies find their locations for offline events I'm a startup still, but so we try to help them with that. And right now we try to help them to find the right solutions, because they all now want virtual for obvious reasons. And I'm wondering, how do you as a company, what's your target audience? Are you looking more for like the kind of B2C stuff? You already mentioned that you do have B2B, but with this UX B2C UX approach. And then how do you think about this selling? How do you plan to sell? How do you plan to integrate with companies going forward? Do you offer any kind of API white label integrations? Is there anything like that on the roadmap? How do you see that emerging? Because what I see from our clients, what they all tell us, they want obviously their own solution, etc. Ideally with single sign-on in their own internal infrastructure, etc. And then in the end, they all ended up with Microsoft Teams, which has already been double-checked by their systems, etc., which is clearly not the best tool. So that would be interesting for me to understand.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking the questions. I think there are two things. First, as I believe that the best virtual events planner are not necessarily the best physical events planner. So I really think that it's not. It should be really, there should be an easy way for people who are either they're marketers themselves, or they're thought leaders themselves, or they're entrepreneurs themselves, to directly host events that are very interesting because they have something interesting to say, they have interesting speaker to bring, and they have interesting discussion to facilitate. And I believe those are the three skills that are most important to succeed in online events, rather than like planning logistic. I think there are still going to be very complex events where logistic planning is the most important, but those are not necessarily events that we want to focusing on. We want to focusing on people who are really great at bring the right content in and bring the right people in. And I believe a lot of them are consumers, but they're consumers. They could work for a company hosting events. They could be influencers themselves. So I think that it's the consumer ease of use that is really the core of our business. And obviously, business use case, they have they want something in addition to the experience. They want data, they want reporting, they want analytics, and those are the things I think we believe we will add more and more. But I think the exact experience of coming to an event and enjoying it and speaking at it are entirely consumer experience. So that's kind of my first angle. I think narrowing down to B2B, B2C may not be the exact right angle, given that right now we're exactly a consumer experience, and hosting the event can also be a consumer experience. That's kind of the angle we're taking. In terms of our positioning, we really believe that there's actually a lot of opportunity for attendees to keep in touch with each other post-event. So imagine if you are a marketing company, you have a bunch of people, they're all from the same exact industry, matching the same exact criteria. They have a lot of things they want to say to each other, and they want to be able to maintain in touch around each other. So I think the right approach should be enabling those people to keep in touch, post the event. Or sometimes they may go to a different event, but they still want to keep in touch because they got to meet each other within your event. So I think there is definitely branding component of making sure you have your company or your logo in a prominent space. But I do think that having a more open network where all your people, who a lot of times are not from your own company, can still keep in touch with each other and never forget about you, because even if when they go to other events, they're still going to be in the system. Is probably the better approach for us as a platform, for the people themselves, also for the company who wanted to maintain longer relationship with people. So from a single sign-on perspective, I don't believe that is necessarily the right experience. I do think there's branding or more helping the company or helping the individual show more personality is definitely the right way to go. Yeah.
Cool. So you don't see it as an internal tool for companies. You wouldn't say companies who want to have internal employee trainings or something. Then you wouldn't say this. You wouldn't be the right tool.
Well, for the company who only want to do all hands within the company setting that are really large, that they care about security, we're currently not really the right tool for that. Okay. But what we have fun is that a lot of the company, the person who organizes all hands they got to know the tool because the other department use it, or because one of the person have attended another event that has nothing to do with the all hands, have experienced it, and they just believe that's the right experience. So I actually have a lot of all hands use cases. Obviously, things may change if they say, hey, security is the number one concern. That can be an issue for certain companies. But right now, that's not necessarily the use case we want to focusing on. The use case we want to focusing on is more helping my mom find other doctors who are like-minded type of use cases, which I believe there are more use cases like my mom use cases than the all hands within larger company who only care about security. So that's kind of our focus right now. Obviously, things will change. Right now, we just want to make it possible for anybody who can bring great content, great speakers, and great with people to come here, do an event really easily, and making sure that event is the best, most engaging experiences for each of the attendee, and making sure each attendee can make 3 to 5 connections per event, and making sure they can keep in touch with 1 to 2 people after the event. Those are kind of our goal from a journey standpoint. Yeah.
Cool. I think Frederick is also joining us really shortly. So thanks, Paul, for coming up on the stage.
This is showing the grabbing mic is working. I like those spontaneous conversations. Yeah.
Yes. Maybe because Natasha in the chat from our venture Anyline asked, how do you see sponsoring events, online events? So she has the experience that actually it's the case that people consume really educational content, but they don't really show a lot of engagement with kind of exhibitors, right? So we have also today a lot of sponsors. And how do you see that evolving, and what are also maybe measures you're taking on Run the World side to make it more attractive for partners also online? And maybe Frederick, if you just can request the mic one more time. Sorry, I think it didn't work.
I love it. This is awesome. This is exactly what this grabbing mic is intended to be. So this is awesome. In terms of sponsor, here's the interesting thing. If you think about most of the other tools, there are some kind of expo lounges that has a banner ad of the sponsor, and then another banner ad for another sponsor, and smaller banner ad for a smaller sponsor. And that is the format we call today in a lot of the virtual events platform. That's the sponsor format. But if you think about the existing format online, like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, the sponsor experience was highly integrated into the actual experience that people are consuming. And they don't necessarily need to go to a sponsor tab inside TikTok to see an ad from Procter & Gamble, right? It's part of the integrated experiences. And those experiences sometimes are short, but highly relevant, highly engaging. So I really believe that, first of all, we need to be at least as engaging as that, if not better. Second of all, we can be much, much better than that. Because, the Facebook of the world, which I came from, is designing for an asynchronous experience. It's designing for quickly launch an ad that's really relevant and engaging, get people to take a click or get people to just, add one more impression and go. But here we have literally hundreds of people all interested in the same topic, all are your target audience at the same exact time. And I think there's more things that the sponsor can take away than just the email address, because you literally have people's full attention. You have a whole group's full attention. So the direction that I'm seeing to be the best way to drive sponsor value or the vendor value is first focusing on helping sponsor and vendor have a really casual and quick conversation with their prospective buyers and their prospective customers right away. They're literally here. In the physical events, you will have sponsor literally walk to people and say hi. Now in online events, we're hoping, some are hoping that having a dedicated room just for sponsor is going to be the right solution. When the offline world, we clearly have sponsor mingling in party mode and talking to people. And I believe the same exact thing needs to happen in the online world to really accomplish the biggest outcome. I think the second thing is making sure that there are engaging way the sponsor is talking to people, not just a banner ad there, because that it's 2020. People are not engaging with banner ad anymore. So instead, the sponsor can be part of the cocktail party. The sponsor can be part of the opening music experiences of an event. The sponsor can be, very personable. And they can literally have the meeting right now instead of just saying, let me get your email, our sales team will reach out later, when you literally can have salespeople talking to people right now to be the first meeting. So I do think that is the future, is to make sure that we can actually get things done. The otherwise would have taken weeks to schedule or pre-qualify. You can qualify right here and have a conversation right now and even drive to transactions right away. And I think that's kind of the right model for sponsor, that's the direction we believe in.
Yeah, Frederick has unfortunately a bit of issues even using as an ex-Googler Chrome to join us on the stage, but because I accepted
you get really excited.
Yeah, but now it seems like maybe it's working. Let's see if he can join us.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so Frederick,
No, it's unfortunately me. It says he says he's declining it. I don't think he is declining it, but let's see. But I would just say we have roughly 4 more minutes anyway before we have to go to the next session. So it's a reminder.
Yes, and I think Frederick, feel free to connect with Xiaoyin here on Run the Road again. But also she's on the main stage in a few minutes with Florian. So hopefully there
What's my view on asynchronous conversation as the next evolution from video conferencing? I think that think about how you really talk to your friend is both synchronous and asynchronous, but you're trying to do different things. The synchronous is great if you really wanted to make new connection with new people. And that in a meaningful way. Synchronous is important. Asynchronous is great if you wanted to figure out who you want to talk to, if you wanted to keep in touch with people, if you want to have like a conversation around a certain topic. I think asynchronous is great. The synchronous is great for making the connection that before was just a connection turn into a acquaintance and turn into a valuable friendships. I think those are both really important. And I believe the right model should not be just asynchronous versus synchronous. The right model should be having many recurring synchronous interaction with the same group of people. So then each time you're getting deeper and deeper. But aside from that synchronous conversation, you also have asynchronous conversation to keep in touch, to see the updates of other people, and to kind of jump in conversations that preempt for your next synchronized gatherings. And that's kind of the experience that we want to really enable, is that, after the event, you have a group chat, you can keep talking, but then the events can be recurring. So every now and then you come back again, you're going to meet the same people again. You're going to say, hey, how have you been? Haven't seen you since last month. How have you been? Those are the things that really kind of intensify the relationship and make you guys stronger and closer. Because it gives me the chance to participate in multiple conversation and will not miss out anything. Well, the other thing, this is kind of my personal view, is that I think the asynchronized conversation, there are many existing ways that we have seen, whether it's a Reddit model or a Facebook feed model, or chatbot, chat room, or even like stories. I think there's many different ways that we already have in terms of asynchronized conversation. But synchronized conversation, that is not just a one-on-one meeting call, has not been really innovated, until really right now. We haven't, in human history, we don't have a way for a large group of people having multiple conversations on and off on the same exact setting synchronously before. It was either we're all watching something at the same time and we don't talk to each other, or it's like I talk to you and we're in a meeting setting. There hasn't been a situation where maybe there's a few thousands of us or hundreds of us where we're gathering around at the same time. Sometimes we're all watching together. Sometimes I'm talking to you. Sometimes a few people are gathering. I think that experience of synchronized for a larger group that's really fluid has not really exist in the internet world, if you think about it. And I think that is the area that we just wanted to be good at. And because I think that is a huge opportunity that we want to focus our attention on.
Cool. So one last question before you switch over to the main stage is like, do you think offline events will come back in the same way they have been there before COVID, or will they come back stronger, weaker? What is your point of view?
Well, I think that, when I first started the company, people think it's stupid because the President's Club apparently normally will choose a different island each year, and it's super fun. And I have no intention of depriving that island tour. I think that should exist and it's important. But I do think that when we started the company, it was not because offline events were canceled. It was because my mom could only make into one offline events when she actually wanted to attend 10 or even 20. And that's kind of, I think, is the opportunity. I think that just thinking, will live events go back, and will that endanger online events, may not be the right way to think about it. Instead, we should think about it the same way as digital advertising industry, which is before. If you're an SMB and you have never run an ad in print or in TV, then there's no advertising opportunity for you. But now there's just more ad. I can pay $10 Facebook and do an ad immediately. And I think the same exact analogy happens where we believe that the exact event pie will be so much bigger. And that's exactly what Facebook and Google has done for the digital advertising, for the advertising industry, is they actually increase the pie significantly. And we really believe we're doing the same thing. And we'll rather be on the side where we can amplify the industry more by offering more events opportunity than worry about the existing events. It's going to get rid of the type of events that we run. Like, we're not really worried about that at all. And I'm only excited about the added value that today are not existing. I think that's a huge pie that if I can get all of them, I will be more than happy.
It's really interesting insight how you see that. And I think, Florian will ask you even more questions now on the main stage. So everybody who's now in here, feel free to click on the link that just Merlin posted in the chat